Hi, how are you? And welcome back to a Myra vlog, not an Inkling vlog. So any Inkling vlogs will probably be about my small business, which is mainly what this channel is about. But any Myra vlogs will be just kind of more so, I guess, personal daily vlogs instead of small business content focused. So today I decided, well, actually this was filmed a couple of days ago now. I just got to editing and posting it now, but it was filmed before. But on this day, I decided to make a homemade vanilla cake from scratch and a little pasta dish to go with it for dinner and dessert. So for this vanilla recipe, it's an eggless cake, and it took me so long, like I kid you not, so long to come up with a recipe that I actually really like, that gets the texture right. Like this from scratch cake tastes like a cake box mix, but it's completely from scratch, and again, it doesn't even have eggs in it. So it took me a really long time to come up with this recipe. Now this isn't fully a tutorial, like I don't really go step by step showing you exactly what I'm doing, but if anybody is interested, the cake recipe, the vanilla cake recipe would be 50 grams of flour. I use cake and pastry flour. It would be, what else do I put in it? 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking powder. I used double acting baking powder, which is different than regular baking powder, because double acting, first it kind of rises or helps or starts acting, I guess you can say, when you mix the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients, and then it reacts again when you put it in the oven. So the heat makes it react, and the mixing of the dry to wet ingredients makes it react. So 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda, 50 grams of flour, as I said, and again, I used cake and pastry flour, which is different than all-purpose because cake and pastry flour has less protein in it, so it forms gluten in a different way than all-purpose flour. All-purpose flour or bread flour has a higher protein content, so it would be more, I guess you can say, a little bit more chewier or whatnot, but you don't want that for a cake. You want your cakes to be light and fluffy, which helps when or that's why I guess you can say that cake and pastry flour helps, because it has that lower protein content, so it doesn't form gluten as quickly as all-purpose flour. Anyways, that is the dry ingredients, and also a pinch of salt. And then for your wet ingredients, you want 55 ml milk, 15 grams of yogurt, a splash of apple cider vinegar. I really don't measure it, and a splash of vanilla. Again, I don't measure that either. And then what else? And 10 ml of oil, and then finally your sugar. I add that to the wet ingredients instead of the dry ingredients. And for the sugar, you want it to be about the same as your flour. So I would say range of 45 grams to 50 grams of flour. Sugar. You can even add a little bit more than 50 grams of sugar if you want it to be on the sweeter side. I go for around 48-ish grams of sugar. And then you just want to mix it and leave it to the side. Let that sugar kind of dissolve in your wet ingredients. And then later on, we can mix it. So this is now me preparing some dinner. This is going to be that pasta kind of lasagna type of dish where it's not a full big portion of lasagna. Instead, it's just made in smaller, what are those things called? I forgot what they're called. The little white dishes thingies, which I know they have a name. I just, for whatever reason, for the life of me, cannot remember what they're called. Anyhow, so here I'm just going to chop some vegetables And when I get to the mushroom portions of it, I am going to essentially shut up, and I'm going to let you guys listen to the satisfying sounds of cutting on a wooden board, because I personally like listening to that as well. It's ASMR, right? But anyhow, there are moments where I'm filming these things and I really run out of things to say, and there are other times where I just start yapping and I don't know when to stop. And right now, this is one of those moments where I don't really know what to say, but at the same time, I continue to yap. So you know what? Let's forget about waiting until the mushrooms. Let's just do the ASMR now, and you guys can listen to the cutting sounds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll get back to the cutting in just a moment. Here, you want to also make sure that you grease your pan. I just used a little bit of butter, and then I put parchment paper at the bottom. That's just to make sure the cake doesn't stick. Now, after the oven is preheated, you want to essentially mix your dry ingredients with your wet ingredients. And for the wet ingredients, again, you just want to make sure the sugar has kind of dissolved in the wet ingredients, and then just go ahead and continue mix it. And you don't want to over mix it, but you just want to mix until you get all the flour coated, until you don't see any specks of flour. So once you're done mixing that, just pour it into your pan and then throw it into the oven. All right, now back again we go to the chopping. This is the mushroom chopping part, which I actually really like, so I will stop talking now. Okay, also for just a little quick rundown on the pasta side of things, for the vegetables, I chose to cut some broccoli, some onions, some red bell pepper, and mushroom, and then I also had some frozen garlic and some Beyond vegan meat type of stuff. And I just am boiling 2 sheets of lasagna, which I will end up cutting into 3 pieces per that white dish. Ramekin. Oh my god, yes, finally I remember what it's called. Ramekin. 1 of the sheets will be cut into 3 pieces, and 3 pieces will be used per ramekin. Okay. Yes. Okay. Anyway, so you want to start sauteing your vegetables here. I started off with putting some olive oil, and then just starting off with the onions, and then I added the bell peppers and the mushrooms, and I added some of the frozen garlic. I don't remember when, but I did. And then the broccoli is more so something that you just want to kind of steam. So I don't know if I show it in here, but I typically just add like a teensy-weensy little bit of water to help steam that broccoli. And then I also put in some tomato paste. I put in tomato paste, and I put in the vegan Beyond meat because that was frozen, so I needed to cook that as well. And then I added in a bunch of seasonings like salt, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and some chili, and then I added in whipping cream to make it into a creamy sauce. Also, this is what the cake looks like once it's baked, and then this is what the other thing looks like once you layer it. You just go a little sheet of lasagna, then filling, then little sheet of lasagna, then filling, then little sheet of lasagna, and then cheese. Bake it off until it's crispy and crunchy, and this is what the cake looks like. Okay, that's it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye bye.